I've literally just sat there while the other speakers were speaking and made some stuff up. So you'll have to forgive me. The world of startup is you literally have no time ever to do anything. So, the 4 slides, which is the pick stuff, then we'll get off to the random fun stuff that could go terribly wrong. So, People.io is about giving people ownership of their data. Who here has already seen my previous presentations? Ooh, low percentage! I could have done the same thing. Disappointing. So the basic idea of People.io is give people ownership of their data. We've got an app that rewards people for answering questions and engaging with brands, effectively trying to find a mechanism that gets people to understand the value of their data. What that does, though, from a technology point of view, is it brings together a unified view of the individual, combining declared and observed data that then enables you to do some pretty awesome stuff from a brand analytics and consumer insights point of view. But effectively showing the things that make people different to the average consumer. It's a SaaS platform, you can subscribe, it'll kick Kantar's ass, and we also have a chatbot. So effectively the idea of a chatbot works on Slack, it's also on Alexa and will soon be on WhatsApp. Idea is basically you can just ask brand insight questions to a chatbot and it'll throw a load of answers back to you, and this is actually a freemium product, so if you drop me an email at the end you can actually get access to it and have a play with it. But for the people that like the tech side, this is the slide that our CTO loves to show off. Effectively, we've got this massive infrastructure that brings together all of this data and now has a user API and an enterprise API. So when you start building products and services, instead of worrying about where you get the data from first, you can actually just build a product on top of a user's API, and so long as your product's People.io enabled, you don't need to worry about collecting people's data anymore. So that's the product side. Now, on to how the world's going to end again. So, consent is dead. I've talked in the past about why consent is dead and why AI is the thing that kills it. And effectively, the short version is that so long as the system knows enough about you that it's more than you know about yourself, you create a paradox where you can no longer know to tell the system to tell you the thing it knows because you don't even know that it knows it. And there's an infinite number of things that it will know about you that you won't know about yourself, and you therefore have a paradox. Now, that is exacerbated through companies and things like this. And in fact, as I was writing this, a couple of the presentations spoke about creative and AI creative. So a little contentious, I admit, but Daily Mail tracks you, all these different companies on the right-hand side. There were 84 different companies tracking you a couple of years ago, now it's about 600. Idea being that they can drop those tracking pixels in order to then retarget you with more relevant advertising. Now, the idea of retargeting and behavioral advertising is to try and make it better for you. They try to make the argument that they know enough about you that they can show better ads. So you might see different banner ads, you might see different companies advertising to you. The idea is that they make it better for you. They take that off your hat. And in fact, the smart mirrors and retail applications, when you walk into a retail store and you have a smart mirror, it is already making assumptions about you in order to create the experience. Now, those assumptions might be very basic. It might simply be gender-based. It might be age-based. Very simple assumptions, but nonetheless, those assumptions are being made about you. Now, when you put that into the world of edge computing, which is where the world is moving, you start to take artificial intelligence, and at the moment, the specific neural networks, from a centralized system into a decentralized system, where actually you've got pre-trained neural networks that are now being deployed into edge-based devices. So whether it's your mobile phone that has image recognition on it, whether it's an IoT device that can trigger certain events based on a certain set of scenarios, those models are being deployed to the edge. Now that becomes quite interesting, because what it means is that we're training systems with ever more historic views of society. So for example, if you train an image recognition algorithm to identify the 2011 Manchester United shirt, you may also train it, well this is 2018, you may also train it to know Arsenal. So you would have to train an image recognition system to identify the difference between Arsenal and Manchester United, right? But, as I was saying, if you trained it to recognise 2011, you would need to update it to recognise 2012. So if you've trained a neural network and deployed it to the edge, and it's not connected to a network anymore, it has a historic view of what that thing is. So even though that is still Manchester United, it only recognises this. Now, why is that important when it comes to AI and creativity? Because of this. Obviously. Mel Gibson in What Women Want. Obviously a portrayal of an ad exec that had a very misogynistic view of what good advertising should be, until he got hit over the head or struck by lightning or something like that. Now that was like a 1970s stereotypical ad exec. Then you look at the opposite side of that, Paul Frampton, #1 feminist of the world, who has a far more now version of society. But actually, at the point in time where this was created, that may have been the more prevalent view of society and how you would have trained a network to behave. But it wouldn't, if it was deployed to the edge, have been updated with the new version. Now, why is that important when you think about it from a big world point of view? Well, unfortunately, at the moment, you have one big company like Google who has all these different AIs and all these systems that are powering, whether it's voice interfaces, whether it's web services, whether it's IoT, they're all powered from centralized data centers that you can have some level of regulation over. But when you start looking to IoT devices that are on the edge, how do you then manage all of those systems? So actually what you end up with in training all of these neural networks that are then pushed to the edge is a slowdown in the progression of society, because the things that are making the decisions about your day-to-day life are based on a historic view of society. Now, yes, that can be solved with mesh networks, but that doesn't really answer the question effectively. We're in Minority Report. Now for the fun bit, because that's how the world will end. Anyone spot the common theme between, first of all, who is this? Beethoven, right. Who's this? Manet. Who's this? Picasso. Who's this? Yes. And this? And this one. Common theme between them all. Artists and mad. They're all fucked up. Why does that matter when it comes to AI and creativity? My argument is actually that some of the most prolific and interesting artists are the most fucked up. And that actually one of the things that makes them stand out as being such interesting artists is that they don't follow the norm of a society. And that whilst that is the thing that also makes them the enemy, it is also the thing that initially makes them the interesting thing. And that actually, when you think about AI and the need for AI to be creative, I question whether any company could create a truly creative AI, because the output of that AI would have to conform to the society that the company is trading within, else it would lose its customers. And that actually, whilst all of these people stand out as being incredible artists, if they were a massive organisation of thousands of people, could you have thousands of people that are all fucked up in the same way? Probably not. So my argument and my final thought on AI and creativity, and this is a very unstructured thought, I haven't finished processing it all yet, so I apologise. It's not as polished as normal. Kanye West is my guy. But my argument would be that only an individual that has that self-belief in their semi-fucked up view of society will truly be able to create a creative AI. And that actually no company would ever be able to create the level of risk required to be truly creative, other than just following a set of norms within a society. And that creativity is not simply following patterns to fit what people want. It's actually breaking those patterns to create something people believe in. So, people I own, giving people ownership of their data, lots of insights, cool shit. Drop me an email if you want access to the chatbot. I hope that has told you how the world